adze. What's an adze, you say? An adze is this. An axe that goes the other way. It goes sideways. And it is used for hewing beams, squaring off beams and stuff like that. And if you look around Thak Ironworks here, what we do as far as renovating, we do a lot of adzing on things like the beams here. Follow me, Eric. And a good example here is this door and the beams and everything. So I thought forging in adze would be a really cool project. A little bit different than an axe in that the orientation to the handle is the opposite way, which adds quite a level of complication to the whole process. So I'm going to have to go with a different approach than I typically do in making an axe. Also, just to mix things up, I thought I would try using wrought iron. So traditional iron from centuries gone by. So this is a piece of old wrought iron that I acquired somewhere, and again I forget where. I've had it for several years now, but it's a good sized chunk here, 1 by 2 inches, somewhere around there, and I think sufficient of size for me to be able to forge out the shape to create the adze head. I did a little test piece the other day just to kind of work out the logistics of it, and realizing that wrought iron, cool as it sounds, you know, it's got that kind of real street cred to be able to make something out of wrought iron, that very primitive material. The problem with it is that it's fibrous, and when you start splitting it, and I did a slit in here, it started splitting out and just kind of splitting along that grain line, if you will. So I want to take a slightly different approach, and let's see how that works out. Thak from Thak Ironworks, by the way, welcome to my channel. There's a little bit of preamble on this one, sorry. You'll notice if you're a regular viewer, I'm wearing long sleeves, which is unusual. The reason I'm wearing that is because I am sporting this. Boys from Raider just hooked me up with their latest merch. So I got this new hoodie here. And Guardian of the Fire, which I, as egocentric as I am, have to think that they were thinking of me when they created this character. I am the Guardian of the Fire, so I'm going to take full credit for that, and I think a pretty nice likeness of myself, if I do say so. So, anyway, enough shenanigans, let's get on to it. I'm going to take this off now, because lest it get soiled in the ensuing violence. Also, it is a little bit hot for what I'm going to be doing. So let's get that out there and we will begin. Wrought iron into the fire. All right, step one, I'm going to scarf my joint. All right, I'm just gonna fold over this piece now, about 4 inches to point. Okay, so I'm bringing it back. If you can see that, I got a little gap there and a little gap there, so that is where I'm gonna get my flux in. Theoretically, you don't even need flux with wrought iron, it's so low carbon. Just tap that shut. The way is shut. Okay, I'm gonna bring that up to welding heat and over to the power hammer to close that weld. Okay, this thing is getting frickin' hot. just trying to upset it, get the mass moved in here. Things stretched out a little bit longer than I would have liked. The bonus of that is that I checked my weld then. When I first started doing that, it started delaminating at one point, so I realized I needed to spruce up that weld a little bit. So now everything is solid. I think I'll just do a little bit more upsetting, just get a little bit more mass in a smaller area there, and then start drifting out the hole. So now I am going to punch a square hole in the middle. I've decided that is going to be my way. I don't think holding it between my legs, that piece is a little hot. I'm gonna have to do something different. Looks like I got a little off. All right, so let's finish off this hole here. So what I want to do is bring it down till it bottoms out kinda, and then I can see where it's coming through. Or so I thought. Why? Wrought iron reacts differently than normal mild steel. There, finally got the plug out there. A little bit of extra debris. This thing is throwing off a lot of heat, really cooking my hand. Should be noted, I'm having the time of my life. Okay, so I've got our hole is through there now. Okay, so we've got penetration, which is really what we're all looking for. Now what I have to do is start drifting that out and bringing it up. All right, so I'm gonna come in with my first drift, try to get it all square. Okay, I'm gonna call it. It is several hours in here. This was a lot of effort, a very humbling experience, but I think I've more or less got the shape. The taper is working actually for what I need, so it is, of course, bigger on this side, smaller on this side, so the handle can go in and gravity holds it in place and all that stuff. So we're gonna let this cool off now, then I'll cut it off and put a slit in to accept the piece of farrier rasp that I'll be welding in to create the cutting edge. So I'm gonna go cool off. We'll let this cool off. See you soon. All right, so I have now cut it off, cut a slot in there using a quick cut on my grinder. Didn't think you needed to see that. So now what I wanna do is open wide and put in my little piece of farrier's rasp, and then we are going to forge weld the two together. I've never done this before. This should be interesting. We've got wrought iron with typically there's no carbon whatsoever, maybe 5 points. Let's guess that there's some residual carbon in there. And then we've got something with about 90 points of carbon here. So quite a difference there. Not sure how that weld is going to go. So let's find out.
favorite flavors.
I really burnt the
Steel.
steel. Okay, that could have went better. I wanted to get it super hot in order to do this weld, and I was letting some sparks come out. I went too hot and really basically burnt the end on the high carbon steel there, and you can see right there, it's cracked right back there. I think there's still enough high carbon buried in there that I can draw this out, and that will then become my cutting edge. I hope the steel in there is okay, but all this stuff out front here basically destroyed. So hoping that drawing that out there, I'm going to be able to have an actual high carbon cutting edge. The weld took and everything, it's just that I burnt the shit out of the front edge of that piece of steel. So hopefully we can save it. Let's see what happens. All right, I'm gonna call it for the time being. I forged it out. I've got the shape. It's certainly not overly refined, and there's some anomalies and stuff in there, but I think for a primitive forging, it has the functional shape. It's good enough. So I am fine with it. I think it looks pretty cool. One thing I'd like to note is there's a slight delamination back here at the back. Doesn't go all the way through, and I don't think that it's enough to be considered deal breaker on the whole thing there. So I'm gonna just leave it as it is there and start using this thing once I got it heat treated and everything, and just see how things work out. So this is an experiment in real time here. The weld took okay on the front here, but remember I burned my hard edge, and hopefully I've got enough saved steel back in there that I'll be able to heat treat this and everything. But the shape is good. I'm happy with what I've got here. This was a lot of work. This one was quite a humbling experience, a good learning curve for me. Really enjoyed that. So now I'm fairly excited to get this thing heat treated and mounted to a handle, which will be my next mission, is to go out and find a piece of hickory like this. So I want to find myself a piece of hickory and finish the handle. So in our next video, we'll do this as a two-parter. We'll do the heat treat, get a cutting edge on there, and get it onto a handle and see how it actually functions. So thanks so much for joining us on this one. I'd love to see your comments. I'd like to get your feedback. If you've got experience on wrought iron, I'd like to hear your feedback on that especially. Please subscribe, Patreon, comments, thumbs up, all that stuff. See ya!